Hello, I'm Connor, and this is my SS&E management framework for NSCC. I'm the sole developer. SS&E stands for Simple Student and Employee Management Framework. So the overview is the SS&E management framework is a framework that allows for the creation of accounts, system admin, employee, instructor, and student that all contain different functionalities. The SS&E management framework has a framework emphasis, which is means that it is just a framework. It is the blueprint of a system that can have your NSCC specifications as to what you need to be added to it. Currently, it has functionality that allows for the creation of users. It stores users in various array lists and can save and load data. When logging in as any user, that all that user can do currently is view other users of that same type. So when you log in as a student, you can view all other students. If you log in as an instructor, you can view all other instructors. The system has been made that in a way that would make it easy to add user-specific functionality and new user types. So because it's built in a way that it is a framework, I made it in a way that would make it easy to add functionality for, say, like a student. Because right now all a student can do is view other students. Well, what else would you want a student to be able to do? And so you'd be able to add what you would want a student to be able to do in a system like this. Like right now, all the data that a student has when they are creating an account for themselves are the username, password, and email. Well, other things you might want would be first name, last name, phone number, uh, and all that. And what you could make for a student is in their specific menu, you could maybe add, uh, because it's a framework, it's easy to add things. Maybe for in the student menu, you could add functionality for a student to be able to add their schedule, like what classes they have. Maybe you could make it so that they can add what classes they're taking, what teacher they have. And so that's the benefit of it being a sort of bare bones. I made it in a way that makes it easy to add new things. So the technical breakdown, the SS&E management framework uses composition instead of inheritance, in that every user type is composed of a user object. Student has an object of user within it. So like, let's say like student has an object of user within it, allowing every user type to share the common properties that user has, while also being able to add user-specific properties and methods. So like, student has an object of user within it, which basically means the instead of user being the parent class, or yeah, instead of user being the parent class, student is the parent class that contains user. And this makes it so that if you wanted to change or add a property in user, let's say like the current properties of user are username, password, email. Well, what if you wanted to add first name, last name? In an inheritance-based system, because I have three different user types, student, instructor, and employee, I would then have to go into employee, instructor, and student and add those properties. So I would have to add first name, last name, uh, yeah, first name, last name. I would have to go through all those three different user types and add that in an inheritance-based system, which would take a long time. It's very tightly coupled together, which means that if I change anything in user, I have to then go change it into all the classes that inherit from user, and that's not very good. And so I used a composition-based system to where if I add a property in user, I don't really have to go and change student, instructor, and employee. I don't really have to change that. It's just changed because it's like student is composed of user, instructor is composed of user, and employee is composed of user, not the other way around. Not student now takes from user, instructor now takes from user, instructor now takes from user. It just makes it much easier to add things to user. And then this composition over inheritance principle that the SS&E management framework uses allows for less tightly coupled code and easy expansion of the system to meet your needs, NSCC. Yeah, so basically, instead of inheritance, uses composition. Composition's a very useful sort of principle to use. It just makes it easier to add things like if I so like the only object that student like that student, instructor, and employee uses is user. That's like the underlying end user is composed also of username, password, email. And username, password, and email are not just properties, they're objects. Because for username, I have a username ID property, I have a username string property, and the username string property is just what the username is, and the ID is associated with like what is associated with the user. So user with an ID of 1 will have a username with an ID of 1 and a password with an ID of 1. And so it uses composition. It's very just useful and easy to add things to the system. And then at its root, the SS&E management framework is a system that can be used to store users, which contain information that you need. The menu system that this framework uses is very clean and modular, where every menu is its own class. This framework really emphasizes separations of concerns, where each class has one central goal and not many individual goals. So as stated, in the framework, every menu is its own class, which makes it very easy to add new classes and keeps things very with expandability in mind. So each menu being its own class means that in the current framework, in order to go from menu to menu, every menu class has a method called enter menu. And so if I'm in the main menu and I log in as a student, that will call the student menu's enter menu method, which is very easy to have many different types of menus and add functionality for each menu. So for the student menu, all the student menu has when you log in as a student calls the enter menu method of the student menu class. All that student menu class has for methods is display students. So when you log in as a student, if you select display students, it calls the display students method within the student menu class. You could easily go in there, instead of just having display students, you could have many different types of methods that can do different things. And so this is the live demonstration. So here's just the user interface, no save data found, starting with empty data. This is the save system. I haven't saved any data yet. And so I have 4 test users. I have a system admin, a student, instructor, employee. So I'm just going to log in as the system admin. And in this system, for username, it's not case sensitive, which makes sense. And all I can do as the admin is just display all the users in the system. So I have username student, username instructor, employee, system admin. And so that basically shows that you can't really do much as any of the roles except for just display all the users. I can log in as student. I can display all the students. And so there's just one student, the one I currently have logged in as. I can go back. And so whenever I want to create, so I can create a new student account like student2 like 2@gmail.com. And I can do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so different accounts can use the same password. If I want to create a new instructor, I have to enter the instructor master password. And the instructor master password is instructor99. And then, so this exists because if you're just a student in this, like trying to access the system, you don't want to be able to make a new instructor without knowing the instructor master password, because if you're just a student, you can make an instructor account, then with that instructor account access instructor specific data, which is not good because that's sensitive data that only instructors should have. And so I can enter the instructor, and so that's why the instructor master password exists. And so that is another thing that I have, is that you can't enter an email that already exists within the system. And so that's how you would make an instructor, go through that. And so I'm going to log into the student that I just created. So I created a user called student2. I display all the students that are currently in the database. If I go back, exit program and save, now that I've saved the data, when I rerun the program, if I log into existing account, student2, it exists. And so I basically saved that data. And you see it created another student user. This is a bug, so it's not really a bug. Basically, what happened is I have a method to add test users to the system. You only want that to happen once. So like I want the test users to be added, then exit, save the test users, then comment this out so the test users aren't added a second time. And so it's really easy to delete data that's been saved. All you gotta do is delete the user data.dat file. Just delete it. Then hit refactor if you're on IntelliJ. And so, yeah, it saves user data. If you exit and save, I can just uncomment this to add the test users back, rerun the program, exit and save. Now that has created a dat file. Now if I uncomment this, rerun the program, now those test users are here forever. If I go to like login or system admin 345, display all users, now they're here. Go back, exit program and save, rerun the program, login system admin, and they all still exist. So that's the save system. And yeah, that's basically the framework. Thank you for listening to the demonstration.